Hi everyone, we've just had another episode of Gundam GQuuuuuX drop. Boy, was this one an interesting episode to say the least. We're learning for a fact that Zeon, at least initially, is not popular in Side 7. Or no, Side 6, rather, I should say. Because of their track records and everything else they've caused over the years. Especially in the 1 year war. And we also know for a fact that the next conflict most likely will be a civil war between Gurren and Cassilia Zerbi at some point. We have to assume for a fact that Dozle and Garma in this timeline have been killed as well. On another, more interesting side note, Charlie a Bull is becoming fascinated by both Gundam GQuuuuuX and, ironically, the Red Gundam. And of course there's also the obvious question, is Char alive out there somewhere? Of course, Suji is the one piloting the Red Gundam, but if he found it, or flies it, we might never know. We also learn for a fact that Shuji plans to go to Earth at some point, just so that he can get a Pacific Flower, and he plans to do that by buying a civilian second-hand space glider. Although he could take a shuttle trip. But I think he plans the space glider, I think, so they can bring the Gundam with him. And apparently the Gundam wants to go to Earth to find the Pacific Rose, whatever that means. At the same time, the Jim is actually this timeline's version of the Gelgoog, the mass-produced Gundam, and it does look very Jim-like. It seems a bit odd. I thought the fact that Zim would have given it a mono-eye. But I suppose beggars can't be choosers, and I thought it was the Federation actually had managed to build. I thought they were Federation mobiles, using the Federation were planning to make a power play. Of course, it's unclear if the Federation still exists. I think they do, mainly on Earth. I would say, because we have the Force Reduction Treaty. And also in the episode, we've also been given a look into the outside of what some of the former Federation pilots are doing. One of them, who we meet in the episode, heads up to the Pomeranian's headquarters with plans of basically meeting the team. I think mainly just to find them out. We also know for a fact that the Pomeranian guy's dog is a bit dim. But what I really liked about the episode was I think for a fact that, well, on the outside, she's pretty much this demure Japanese woman of what Japanese women are supposed to be like stereotypically. Friendly, polite, and amicable. She's also a Federation ace pilot known as the Witch, who gained 100 Mobile Suit kills, and apparently the gun cannon light is the inferior machine. This does seem a bit odd, because the gun cannon has beam weapons built in, so therefore it's anything and that kind of profound performance, and it was a stripped down light, and so apparently it would be superior to Azako. I think any of the Federation mobile suits, I think, should be superior. The beam rifle alone is a huge indicator. I think the only thing slowing the gun cannon down is its armor plating. Anyway, going back to the episode. We also learn for a fact that she has a wife, a husband and son at home. And that Amata has a thing for Shuji. Well, that's pretty much explained in the first couple of episodes. But she's doing really well at hiding it. Despite the fact that no. But I should really talk about the mobile suit battle we get at the episode. It turns out for a fact that her Mav, or wingman, that's what they call wingmans in this show, was killed in a battle. Either the first or second Battle of Solomon by the Red Comet. And we also know for a fact that various Federation's technical staff are going around working for other companies, and they managed to acquire a couple of the new Gelgoogs, and have even applied the magnetic coating to the joints. This is a technology the Federation was working on at the time, both in the original timeline and this one. And presumably, Zeon doesn't have access to the technology, but the Federation did. And what we also learn as well is the fact that this was largely a battle between the Witch and Shuji and the Red Gundam. And it turns out for a fact that her Mav was killed and she wants to get revenge on the Red Gundam because of what happened. And this battle is basically revenge. Amata, this is basically her first real experience of like real battle. And apparently, and they've got on the team she has, they've got basically 2 Jim Gelgoogs, 2 outfitted with beam weaponry, and this is I think it's very rare in clan battles, but it can get lethal. Because over the course of the battle, we end up with some new type maneuvers, and apparently her secret of getting 100 kills was a so-called stigma attack, where basically she would just lay out traps and weapons. And she nearly gets the drop on the Red Gundam. She's a surprisingly good pilot, and she does come very close. But Shunji wins, I think, just by being the stronger new type. And he knows the Red Gundam. I think she's only operated the Gelgoog in simulations. And while she does the advantage of the fictionless joints, she also denies the existence of new types. Even though, ironically, it's quite plainly clear the fact they do exist. And at the end we get another new type shenanigans type sequence where it turns out the fact that she also has new type powers, or new type potential, and they awaken at the moment of when Shuji makes the final blow. Yeah, it was an interesting episode and very entertaining, because the final sequence is her. Basically, what's the thing she's thinking about? She's thinking about her son at the moment of her death when Shuji strikes the blow. And of course they go into new type contact. And for Amita, this is just literally her realising that, yes, people die and she has a family. And now she has to live with the fact that someone's been killed. And their death will have an impact on her throughout the course of the rest of the show. Yeah, very good episode, and yeah, it's actually going back to the tragics part of it. And I'm thinking quite possibly it is living up to that beautiful concept that I thought it would have at the start. A very fine episode, to say the least. Yeah, I've been the Challenge. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Cheerio!